MTG Scoundrels, it's in the cardboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, scoundrels of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Modern Weekly. Today on the docket, you have my low voice and, of course, Broodscale Combo versus Izzet Prowess. Getting started with taking 2 off of a Steam Vents into a Monastery Swift Spear and attacking for 1. A classic Prowess start. Broodscale starting off with a turn 2 Blade of the Blood Chief and passing. Bloodstained Mire for the Prowess player. Attacking in for 1. Passing the turn. There is another Forest into a Malevolent Rumble. So that'll mill 4. And we'll see what the Broodscale player takes here. Eldrazi Spawn created as well. Possible 5 mana on the next turn. Depending on what is grabbed. Thinking hard about it. Looks like taking the Emrakul and passing the turn after that. Looks like on end step we do have a fetch. Finding an Elegant Parlor. Interesting take from the Prowess player, splashing for Jeskai. Surveilling. Putting the Wooded Foothills into the bin. Another Bloodstained Mire. That'll get cracked as well here. Maybe just looking for a mountain. Oh, no. Gonna go ahead and find a Sacred Foundry. That'll bring us to 18 to 14. Here is a Quarry Steelcutter. And there's a Lightning Bolt. Looks like going upstairs. And attacking in. That brings us to 10 to 14. Alright, there is an Ugin's Lab. Putting a Devourer of Destiny underneath it. So that way you can tap for 2. Prowess player tapped out. Floating a mana. Casting Basking Broodscale. Equipping the Blade of the Blood Chief to the Basking Broodscale. And I think they have it from here. Showing the infinite loop. In terms of infinite mana, infinitely large Broodscale, anything to top it off? Yes, indeed, there's a Walking Ballista, which will shoot the opponent for lethal, and that'll do it. Game 1, going to Basking Broodscale Combo. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. We appreciate all of you that have subbed and have been watching recently. It's been good to see all the positive interaction, and we are glad that you are here. Moving on to looking at the sideboards here, more than likely the Prowess player going to bring in whatever number of consigned memories they have in the sideboard. And knowing the specific meta that this player plays in, wouldn't be surprised if it is 4 copies. Now you could also see some amount of Spell Pierce here, and wouldn't be surprised if Surgical Extraction is being brought in as well as a quick way to ruin the combo for the Broodscale player. Granted, they do have the Emrakul plan, so there is always that they have to work around. Broodscale here probably not bringing in too much. Would not be surprised to see both Vexing Baubles coming in out of the board, and also probably looking at Grafdigger's Cage as an option here as well to stop the opponent from casting spells. But we will see ultimately what direction the Broodscale list wants to go in. Moving on to our sponsors, check out our friends over at Arcane Artistry that make wonderful food, clue, and treasure tokens in the stained glass style. Their Etsy link is in the description below, and they've been featured over on EDH, Hijinks, as well as the Spike Feeders, so definitely check out their work. And of course, check out our friends, hosts of our channel, Grovewarden Games, a wonderful place to store mount. Link to their store in the description below. And of course, check out artist of our channel, Sean Gerard. They make wonderful art and are open to new projects, whether it's for a professional setting or if you're just looking to pick up a gift for a friend or yourself. Definitely check them out. Instagram up on the screen, email in the description below. And last but not least, check out our socials. We are at MTGScoundrels over on Blue Sky, Twitter, and Facebook. Most active over on Blue Sky. So definitely check us out there. Let us know what decks you want to see played in the future in the comments below and over on our socials. We'd love to interact with you guys and appreciate everything you guys have done to help grow our channel. And here we are moving in to game number 2. Both players looking at their first 7s. And seems like both players are going to keep here. Broodscale stealing a match on the play. Or excuse me, stealing a match on the draw is pretty impressive. Devour Destiny getting revealed here. And here is a Mountain into a Swift Spear attacking for 1. Devourer trigger, looking at the top 4. Can either exile 3, put 1 on top, or exile all 4. Looks like putting 1 on top. Ooh, exiling a Saga, a Haywire Might, and a Broodscale. In some ways, if you're the Broodscale player, you hate to see the Haywire Might go. Mostly because it's one of the ways you gain life in this deck. Forest Pass. There's an Urza Saga in hand. There's a Bloodstained Mire. Here is a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Getting in for 1 with the Swift Spear. That'll bring us to 18 to 20. Speaking of Saga, there it is. Urza Saga. A cornerstone of many good decks in the format. Passing the turn. Bloodstained Mire getting cracked here on the end step. Probably finding a Thundering Falls. There it is. Surveil incoming. No play for the first 3 turns is, or at least the first 2 turns for the Broodscale Combo player. Probably not great, puts them pretty behind the 8 ball. There's a Wooded Foothills. Alright, looks like plotting a Slickshot Showoff. And attacking him for 2. Bringing us to 16 to 19. Another Urza Saga. Into a Glaring Fleshraker. And passing. Not having E-Temple or Ugin's Labyrinth here is pretty rough for the Broodscale player. Looks like Foothills was, in fact, sacrificed to go find a tapped Steam Vents. Here's the Slickshot Showoff that was plotted. Lightning Bolt targeting the Glaring Fleshraker. Surveilling and keeping the bolt on top. One spell has been cast. And attacking in with everything. Just taking 6. Passing the turn after the Steam Vents is played for turn. Saga triggers on the stack. Looks like the first one, going to float the mana. And find an artifact. Deciding to go Blade of the Blood Chief here. Not that Vexing Bauble would do that much to save anything, but Vexing Bauble might have been the play. Though, if Haywire Mite wasn't exiled, probably would have grabbed the Haywire Mite. There is an Urza Saga. And I see another Glaring Fleshraker in hand here. So if you went and got Springleaf Drum instead, you're still searching for a blade. So I guess Glaring Fleshraker is the play here. Oh, and just attaching the blade of the Blood Chief to the Fleshraker. So any Lightning Bolt could finish this off. Well, Lightning Bolt plus another spell. Non-creature, anyway. Speaking of which, there's a Lightning Bolt. That'll deal with the Glaring Fleshraker. And now it's just a matter of how much damage can get across. Currently, 6 on board. Lava Dart. That'll deal 1. 2 spells cast. Lava Dart again. dealing 1 to make 3 spells cast. And that is more than 10 on board. And scooping him up from there, game number 2 is going to go to Izzet Prowess. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. This match here all tied up, and we are moving on to game number 3. All right, here we are moving on to game number 3. Looks as though Prowess may be on 6 here. Putting 1 back. And the Broodscale player revealing Devourer of Destiny. Looking at the top 4. Looks like putting a land on top, exiling another Devourer and Ancient Stirrings. Missed the 3rd card there. That's okay. Here's an Ancient Stirrings following that up. Will the land stay on top? Ooh, finding the Broodscale here. Not a bad option. And that's what the Broodscale player wants to do here. Have a turn 1 play, set up their hand. Here's a Thundering Falls, Surveil incoming. That looks like a Consign to Memory on top, so that's probably staying there. Mishra's Bauble. And passing. There's an Urza's Saga. Into a Malevolent Rumble. That'll make a spawn, mill 4. And what will be taken here? Well, we know there's a 7-drop in hand. So Ugin's Labyrinth, not a bad option. And you're already going to be putting 2 types into the bin at some point when the Saga goes away. Well, that and the Saga just went in there as well. So like that, 5 types in the bin. Mishra's Bauble getting cracked. No turn 1 play. So maybe stuck on mana. Well, there's a Monastery Swiftspear, excuse me. Attacking for 1, bringing us to 19 to 20. There is the Saga trigger. There's an Ugin's Labyrinth. Five mana available currently. There's 3 of it going to Glaring Fleshraker. And here's an Ancient Stirrings. Wow, that has 3 Kozilek's commands. A Drum and a Boseiju. Taking a Kozilek's command. Passing the turn. Second land for the Prowess player. That is huge. Tapping 1 for another Swiftspear. And attacking in. bringing us to 17 to 20. Kind of, there is a world where you would have tried to bait a removal spell by blocking with the Flesh Raker. Probably not, but still. Then that would make the Prowess player tap out, and if you're the Broodscale player, just having the Prowess player tapped out when generally they don't play Force of Negation is a pretty big deal. Floating a mana off the Saga. Finding a Springleaf Drum. Keeping the mana options open. And maybe most importantly, having a second green source. Now, there are only 5 types in the yard still. So Emrakul, not an option here. There's another Urza Saga. Yeah, looks like just enchantment, land, sorcery, artifact, creature. No instant, no kindred. Deep in the tank here. 1 mana open, possibly for the Prowess player. Tapping 1, sacking the spawn. Using that, the floating mana. Alright, tapping all out here to cast a Kozilek's Command. Bladesdaemire going to get cracked in response. I hear this K command's probably exiling a Swiftspear and making dudes. Which would be a total of 5 spawn if it resolves, which would deal 5 damage to the face. One's going to get made no matter what off the cast. Consign is going to deal with the Kozilek's Command. So that brings us to 17 to 16. But now, more importantly, there are 7 types in the yard. 3 Monastery Swiftspears. Attacking in. Bring us to 14 to 16, leaving a blue mana up, looks like. All right. 6 mana. There's an Emrakul, the Promised End. Hello there. As you can tell, unfortunately, a take the opponent's turn trigger was missed here. Yes, we do in fact realize that these are live matches, and that can't exactly be edited in post. We do recognize this and apologize. The consign only countered the creature, so some things would have been done differently here, including probably maybe a mutagenic growth getting cast a little bit later and a lightning bolt being used on the opponent's turn. That would have also evened things out a little bit. Needless to say, when there are a lot of things going on, it is possible to miss these triggers, and especially when a player hasn't played a deck in a while, they can miss them as well. So remember, Emrakul does take the other turn unless you consign for 2, And in fact, we are still putting this match up because the ending was just so much fun. But anyway, thank you so much for your time. Back to the video. That'll trigger the Flesh Raker, and that's going to get consigned. Consigned to memory number 2. So I'll bring us to 14 to 15. Sometimes if you're the Broodscale player, you just got to start playing stuff to get those consigns out of the hand. Lightning Bolt, going to deal with the Flesh Raker. Attacking for 6. Still leaving up a possible play here. Oh, they haven't even mentioned going to blocks yet. And there's mutagenic growth. And now the spawn's going to get in the way of the one the mutagenic growth is targeting. Well, that's unfortunate. Remember, people, move to blocks before casting your mutagenic growth. So 2 spells were cast there. Well, might have, yep, 2 spells, so got in for 3. We're at 8 to 13. Well, got in for 6, excuse me. One of them being blocked. 2 Swift Spears getting in. Floating a mana off the Saga. Finding a Blade of the Blood Chief. Might have been correct to find Vexing Bauble there, but Lava Dart still, getting, if it was cast from the graveyard, would still be a prowess trigger, and that does matter. Would stop another mutagenic growth, but not everybody runs a ton of those in the main board. Here's another Saga. Currently 5 mana available. Still a very tough decision. You know there's a Broodscale in hand. And 2 consigns have already been cast. There is a Malevolent Rumble. That'll make a spawn. There's a Haywire Mite. That might actually be the one to take here. To give yourself a follow-up in case something gets countered. Two mana, 1 green. There's the Basking Broodscale. And there's the 3rd consign to memory. Well, 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 well. Sometimes there's 3 of them. So that's going to deal with the Broodscale. And now having the Haywire Mite as a backup creature, not a bad option here. Probably deciding if playing the Walking Ballista in hand is better. But I think it's kind of hard to argue with Haywire Mite. There it is. And then using the one floating to attach the blade of the Blood Chief to it. So that makes it a little bit better of a blocker. When staring down 3 1/2s. Hard casting a Slickshot Showoff. There's some evasion. No darts in the bin yet. Attacking in with everything. Well, the Haywire Might is going to get in the way of one of the Swift Spears. And sacking an Eldrazi spawn to put a counter on it to kill off one of them. So 3 damage getting in. That'll bring us to 5-13. Saga triggers. And now Walking Ballista can be an effective card as long as the last card doesn't end up being a mutagenic growth. Tapping 4. And there's a Walking Ballista on 2. Passing the turn. Crazy how ultimately the Broodscale Combo player is still in this. Just scratching and clawing and staying in it. Broodscale player effectively at 7 life here. Left open the Springleaf Drum. If need be. There is a Dragon's Rage Channeler. There's definitely an artifact creature land instant in the bin, so it is a 3/3. However, no haste. There is a Lava Dart that's going to target the Haywire Might. Leaving a land on top here for the Surveil off the DRC. It's going to exile a land to cast Lava Dart again. That'll kill the Haywire Might. So that brings us to 7-13. So 2 Prowess triggers. They are attacking in. The Walking Ballista is definitely going to have to get in front of one of them. So it looks like getting in front of the Swift Spear and then shooting both. and getting in for 3. Now is 4-13. The Walking Ballista killing the Slickshot Showoff, blocking one of the Swift Spears. And now we see what happens. The Saga is triggering. Just going to float a mana, go searching. Finding a Vexing Bauble. Now, if you had made a dude there, you'd have a 4/4, but then you're still facing down 4 damage. This is definitely a better line with Kozilek's Command. It's going to exile the Dragon's Rage Channeler, excuse me, and make 2 dudes. So that's 2 blockers. Only 1 mana available for the Prowess player. Passing the turn. Gonna go ahead and crack the Vexing Bauble to draw a card. Untap. Draw for turn. Six mana available. I see a Fleshraker and a Walking Ballista. Okay, so tapping an Eldrazi spawn. And 1. Nope, gonna actually play out the Glaring Fleshraker here. Into a Malevolent Rumble. Playing it dangerous. New spawn's going to come in, deal 1 damage. Ooh, there's an Emrakul the Promise End. There's some inevitability. Like, you kind of have to take the Emrakul there. Another land isn't going to do it. Takes the Emrakul. And passes the turn with 3 blockers. Was that a Flage drawn by the Izzet Prowess player? So that is what the white is being splashed for. Speaking of, there is a Sacred Foundry entering tapped. Passing the turn. 1 mana open. The Broodscale player doesn't know what that could be for. There's 4, 5, 6 mana. Emrakul the Promised End. Does it resolve? Looks like it is resolving. 2 damage being done. Passing the turn. And now seeing the Flage in hand. Oh, and there is a lightning bolt. So lightning bolt is going to end up killing one of these Swift Spears more than likely. The other one is going to attack into the Emrakul, leaving leaving a lack of a board state. Speaking of, there we are. Swift Spear attacks into the Emrakul. And passes. What is the top deck here? I mean, unless it's a flyer. Nope, just a Mishra's Bauble, and that'll do it. Game, set, match. Going to Broodscale Combo. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we shall see you all next week.